All raging grannies. They've been working on the science in a conscientious way, searching out the facts and figures just to make things clear as day, monitoring fish and wildlife, testing streams and lakes. Climate change is having impact. We must put on the brakes. But then if Harper says shut up, Harper says shut up, Harper says shut up your tape. Harper says shut up, Harper says shut up, Harper's a disgrace. All the data they discover should be out there for everyone. Students, public, and the media, that's the job they've always done. Now we see them being muzzled because facts clearly show the reality of climate change is that the public must not know. Then it's Harper says shut up, Harper says shut up, Harper says shut up your face. Harper says shut up, Harper says shut up, Harper's a disgrace. Every word that's spoken must be vetted by the PMO. Even members of Parliament toe the line or out they go. They're told that Harper says shut up, Harper says shut up, Harper says shut up your face. Harper says shut up, Harper says shut up, Harper's a disgrace.
Thank you, raging grannies. We will hear more of them before we go marching. I want to welcome you. I'm Margaret Eichler. I'm the president of Scientists for the Right to Know. And at this very moment, we are one of 16 other rallies and events that are happening in Canada from coast to coast to coast. We are here to make a point that is going to not be able to be ignored. We are all here to stand up for science. So why are we here? Science is the lifeblood of our future. Oil gets depleted with use. Science creates knowledge. Knowledge increases with use. We are not just a renewable resource, we are a growing resource. And when that is cut up, when that flow is hindered, that is not good for the country. We need science to know ourselves. And when I say science, I mean natural scientists and social scientists and scientists in the humanities and librarians and archivists who are all part of this overall endeavor of science. The mandatory long census form was the way in which we knew ourselves. Its abolition means that we no longer are well informed about Aboriginal people, about people with disabilities, about recent immigrants, people who are poor, who have problems with the English language. How can we make good policies? How can we know ourselves when we don't know basic facts about who we are, who's coming, and who's doing what? We need scientists who are able to talk to the media and to the public, who are able to publish their data without any political interference, and who are able and free to disagree with the government when their data leads them to that conclusion, who are not afraid to express their opinions and who are not afraid to lose their jobs because they say them. We need scientists who are able to advise the government when it needs to hear difficult truth. So how will we achieve this? We are going to make this an election issue, and these sets of rallies across the countries are part of moving towards that direction, that we come back to restoring the lifeblood of our culture, where our prosperity lies in the future, that we have a free flow of information, that science is supported at all levels of government, and that scientists are free to communicate their messages and to do their work. Thank you. And now I want to introduce Brad Evoy. He is the internal commissioner of the Graduate Students Union, who is the co-organizer of this event.
Thank you, Margaret, and hello, folks. As mentioned, my name is Brad Evoy. I am the internal commissioner for the University of Toronto Graduate Students Union, an organization which represents over 15,000 graduate students at the University of Toronto. Our members are deeply concerned about the various changes in policy and in ideology which have driven what we are here for today in terms of the restriction and muzzling of science and scientists. Our members are concerned about the undercutting of basic research funding from the Tri-Council funding bodies and through changes in the National Research Council which restrict and reduce the support of basic science within our overall society. We are deeply concerned about the loss of key and important data ranging from the already mentioned long-form census to the Sisters in Spirit database, which contained information about missing and murdered women, Aboriginal women, throughout this country. We are deeply concerned as an organization about the criminalization of dissent, but also we are concerned very specifically about the restriction of dissenting opinion through evidence-based research and the application of that research through policy. We, as an organization, and students across the country clearly, are concerned about the undervaluing of basic research as it destroys the wider economic future of our members, graduate students, and prevents the potential work of our members from benefiting wider society. What I can say to you now is that today is the day that we should stand up for science, but today is not the only day we should do so. We should continue forward with this message throughout this year and all time up until the point where we can say that our country is back on track and supporting evidence-based policy and science. Thank you all very much for coming.
Our next speaker is Professor Scott Prudham. He is a professor of geography at the University of Toronto, and he's the president of the University of Toronto Faculty Association, which is the co-organizer of this event.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you out. I want to express my thanks to the other organizers, particularly Evidence for Democracy and Scientists for the Right to Know, and Margaret and their tireless work to make this happen. It's my pleasure to be here today representing 3,000 faculty and librarians at the University of Toronto. The University of Toronto Faculty Association is committed to supporting science and academic freedom as matters of both professional but also public interest. And I want to talk today I want to talk a little bit about what we mean when we say that we live in a civilized society, as I think most of us would say. Specifically, I want to argue that the federal government's policies and practices when it comes to science are actually a threat to core aspects of what a civilized society means. Now that sounds a bit dramatic, but is it justified? I think it is. Civilization is a big, complex, and contested word. It's constantly debated in universities and elsewhere the world over. What are the defining features of a civilization? What do we mean when we talk about the history and hallmarks of civilization and civilized societies? There are many possible answers. Some say writing, others would say urbanization or systematic crop and animal breeding. Perhaps others would say the rule of law, the emergence of formal political institutions, social stratification, and on and on. Some have debated even whether or not civilization as a process is always positive. These are important questions and debates, and I can't, of course, begin to add to them now, but I do think these kinds of debates and the issues that they raise underpin why many of us are here today, even if we haven't thought about it in these terms. Because we're committed to something about our social order that is dear to us. We're committed to the role that science plays or should play in our society. How is that? When we speak in a more contemporary sense about living in a civilized society, I would argue we're usually speaking about aspirational or ethical principles to be admired, things we'd like to be able to say about ourselves and to strive for. Seen in this way, civilization includes fostering understanding, tolerance, enlightenment, the search for truth, and even beauty. And searching for meaning and truth means the pursuit of a better understanding of the world in which we live. It means not only tolerance of free expression, but the active promotion of systematic and independent inquiry coupled with that freedom of expression in order to express where the inquiry leads, free of constraint. These are essential elements of what we aspire to in claiming that we live in a civilized society. And that is where science comes in. Science, broadly understood, is a set of practices and commitments designed to develop better understanding based on rigorous inquiry. For science to be consistent with the aspiration to live in a civilized society, that society in turn needs to foster and respect a certain independence of science, and to respect systematic inquiry as an end unto itself, rather than as a mere means to an end. Scientific inquiry is not science if it is predetermined by partisanship, by narrow and cynical ideologies, and by a culture of control and fear. You can see where this is going. The Harper government, by suppressing truth, by muzzling government scientists, by getting funding for science, by gutting funding for science, including in the social sciences and humanities, and by watering down expert review in research applications by appointing non-qualified adjudicators. By these and other means, the Harper government is actively suppressing truth, understanding, diversity, and tolerance. In these respects, it is no stretch to say that the current government's practices and policies on science are undermining Canada's aspirations to be a civilized society. Now, this might seem harsh, particularly if you're a supporter of the Conservative Party, but I assure you, this is not a partisan message. We're not talking about a bad party, we're talking about bad policies. I suspect that many on the political right are prepared to stand behind basic freedoms of inquiry and speech, and to support these freedoms being upheld for scientists working inside and outside the Canadian government. I hope they raise their voices with ours to say as much privately within their ranks, if not publicly. And I hope that this event today plays some part in drawing attention to the seriousness of the threats to our society that the Harper government's policies on science and science funding represent. All of us, of whatever political persuasion, can begin today to peel back those policies in the name of truth, understanding, and building a better world. That's why we're here today, and that's what's at stake. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Professor Craig Caron. He is a professor of history, and he is the Vice President External of the York University Faculty Association.
Thank you. I bring you greetings from my colleagues in the York University Faculty Association, who were delighted to co-sponsor this event and look forward to working with the organizations that built this in the future.
Can't hear you. You got to speak.
Can't hear. All right. That better? What I simply said was that the York University Faculty Association was delighted to and keen to support this event and to, in the future, to work on similar projects. I'm speaking not as a natural scientist, but as a member of the Humanities and Social Science faculty. The scientific method is important to us, too, for those of us who work in those areas of intellectual inquiry. We do research in libraries and archives and other publicly funded institutions and agencies like Stats Canada. We build our analysis on the basis of evidence that we find there. And I'm a historian. I'm a former president of the Canadian Historical Association, and I and my colleagues are deeply troubled by what's been happening to those research-based institutions and agencies. We're concerned that the capacity of historians, genealogists, writers, journalists, students, history buffs of all kinds, their ability, their capacity to research and write about our past is now seriously compromised. We were shocked to see the savage cuts in funding at Parks Canada that led to the layoffs of 1,000 people, including a huge number of historical researchers. One of the biggest collections of historical research that has been done in Canada for many, many, many years. We were shocked to see the elimination of the National Archives Development Program, which sustained local archives across the country, little local community archives. We were shocked to see the cuts to Stats Canada and Stats Canada's staff, and then, of course, the elimination of the long-form census, which we learned in the last week in the newspapers has meant that it's an almost unusable document, the latest census statistics, in public policy formation, because there's nothing to compare it with. And we've been in a state of utter disbelief at what's been happening at Library and Archives Canada, once an internationally respected institution, research institution. They put a freeze on new acquisitions. They're undertaking to offload responsibility for collecting documents down to the provinces and the municipalities that are already strapped for funds. They've shut down interlibrary loans. That's appalling. They've slashed 450 staff, many of those key people in the professional librarians and archivists. They're showing an appalling disrespect for professional standards in their internal hiring and management policy, including an edict that came out last spring requiring all staff basically to avoid going to professional conferences because these were dangerous places where they might say unfortunate things. They've announced that the digitization of records, this is the icing on an already appalling cake, the digitization of records will now be taken over by a private sector organization that will be responsible for the digitization over the next 10 years, and during that period we will be charged for use of those documents. All of these moves reflect an attempt to make it more difficult to engage in evidence-based research, and they've been undertaken without adequate consultation with people who are knowledgeable in these fields and who have been protesting loudly against them. That would be bad enough, but at the same time the government is attempting to shape a vision of Canada and of its history and heritage that's based on ideology and mythology rather than solid research. They poured $28 million into celebrations of the War of 1812 that promoted a distorted, ideologically driven view of that event. Even worse, they've invaded the Canadian Museum of Civilization to make it into a feel-good place that meets their own view of the past, but no longer has the research capacity to do the kind of thorough research for which it was formerly so respected internationally. Canadians have been protesting these changes in all of these institutions I've been talking about. Historians, archaeologists, anthropologists, and many, many more. But it's essential for all of us in all fields of intellectual inquiry who believe in strong, well-funded public institutions dedicated to serious scientifically based research, and who believe in rational, evidence-based public policy development. It's essential for all of us to stand together and say, enough.
Enough.
And now, Jessica Gallagher, a student at the University of Toronto and a member of the executive of the Graduate Students Association, is going to read a message from the only living Canadian Nobel Prize winner, John Polanyi.
Nobel Peace Prize winner?
Congratulations for having the farsightedness to stand up for science. I see you as standing up for two things: the centrality of science for our future and the need for freedom of inquiry if science is to flourish. For the first time, Canadian science is strong. That is the result of public concern for science. It is your doing. It is also the result of good government, which has in earlier times given scientists the freedom essential for creativity. The scientific explorer must steer her fragile vessel away from the shoals, into the deep ocean where new continents are to be found. Explorers, on returning from such a voyage, need the freedom to report what they found. The debate that follows benefits both science and the public. The concern that brings you here today is that the freedom of science is being constrained. Long-term goals are being sacrificed for the short term. The scientists' freedom to explore and then debate are being restricted. You are right to be concerned. This nation is ours in trust. Canada plans to be around for a while. We cannot acquiesce in policies that damage the health of our science. What you are engaged in is standing up for the freedom to be creative. Science is the way of thinking essential to our hopes for the future. Its benefits will flow to your city, your country, and the world. All three will thank you for standing up for science.
once more from the Raging Grannies, and then we're going to march down University Avenue. We'll be on the sidewalk on the right-hand side and use the first curbside lane as well. We will do this. So, Raging Grannies once more, please.
Yeah, I gotta get a Stephen Harper minister over there. There's a little wafer. We got people to see the Raging Grannies. Oh, they did the first tune when they come out. It was a killer tune. It made me laugh.
The second song from the Parliament Hill Mob, Our Nation's Reputation. Our nation's reputation has just gone up in smoke. Our scientists are muzzled. Is this some kind of joke? Librarians and researchers cannot discuss their work without the okay from us, as if they're only work. We're demanding free expression. This is unbearable oppression. Harper, you need to learn your lesson. Just let them speak out loud. You can the Research Institute, whose job is to collect environmental data that has earned the world's respect. But you've an ideology you stubbornly protect to deny all climate change. We're demanding free expression. This is unbearable oppression. Harper, you need to learn your lesson. Just let them speak out loud. Our democracy is less than public servants get the axe if they defy their bosses and go public with the facts. Your freeze on free expression will soon develop cracks. We're here to make you see. We're demanding free expression. This is unbearable oppression. Harper, you need to learn your lesson. Just let them speak out loud. And now the Toronto Raging Grannies do. You know it, you've heard it before, but here it is. Hail to Emperor Stephen Harper, he who must be obeyed. His troops marshal force square behind him. Our fence tycoons, climate change deniers, the military swell with pride. They revel in killing the scumbags and Canada's identity in war. The media won't have access. Its ministers are muzzled. He has promised that we won't know our country when he is through. Flip-flop and hypocrisy. Democracy be damned to his iron rule. Kneel and submit. Emperor Stephen so decrees.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to march down here through the middle, down University. The Evidence for Democracy banner is going to go first, and we can all follow, and then we turn around at Elm Street and come back. Thank you.
The reception was good. Picture time. Picture time. Where you been? You up all night? You posted 2 hours ago on live stream. You? I'm talking to you.
Me? What?
You've been up all night, haven't you?
No. I never stay up all night. What are you talking about?
Buddy. Okay, so we're going on the march. Yeah, I'm going to grab my bike. I'm going to run you over. You're hard to see. Okay, so I'm gonna get on my bike and ride down it. Might as well. Fun, eh? Woo! Like the sun off of your bald head. Hey, some say you do. See. That was pretty interesting. Yeah, that's a lot of cutbacks. So Crow is going to wait. Okay, they're marching down. So it looked like about a good 100 people at least. Sitting a lot of people at work. Oh, this march is supposed to go down to Elm and back. So I'm just going to get on my bike, go up to the front. Got a bird's eye view. Elm Street is just what's south of north of Dundas. Okay. Oops. Whoops. Pretty much. Oh, run over to CBC there. Almost ran over a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Go on. The lady who spoke earlier, I just don't know her name.
When basic research is under attack, what do we do? When basic research is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When basic research is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When the violence is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. More funding, more freedom.
We want to know.
More
funding, more freedom. We want to know. More funding, more freedom. We want to know.
More funding,
more freedom. We want to know.
We got
More
loud
freedom.
reception here.
We want to know. More funding, more freedom. 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 We want to know.
back there. No, I can't get out of here. I'm gonna get hit by a car. Whoop! Got up this way. We are at the front. Got a better angle here. Stuck. There we go.
Stand up for science!
Oh, looks like more than 100 people. Some have added on. Some people come up for lunch, I guess, and just add on. This cameraman keeps getting in my way. It's right in my face. Oh, ready, Batman? You can see the back of his head.
More funding! More freedom!
We want to know. More funding.
Ready, Batman?
We want to know. More funding. More freedom. We want to know.
Back of that cameraman. Excuse my my accent there. See, I got keeps getting in my way, that cameraman. I knew you were taking a picture of me.
I told you you were popping out.
I know when people are taking pictures of me. Man, so we learned something there. Never heard so many cutbacks in my life. Harper, not too long ago, he put money into the arts, and then he took the money out of the arts, and he's continuing his game. So, I guess we're here to learn. I learn something new every day how these cons get away with this shit. Excuse my friend. I'll say beep beep. Go back into the front. University Avenue. Down to Elm, so we got probably 3-4 more blocks till we get to Elm. And I think heading back up East Park.
More funding. More freedom.
We want to know. More funding. More freedom. We want to know. More funding. More freedom. We want to know. More funding. More freedom. We want to know. More funding. More freedom. We want to know.
More funding! More freedom! We want to know!
More funding. More freedom. We want to know.
More funding! More freedom! We want to know!
More funding. More freedom. We want to know. More funding. More freedom. We want to know.
Beautiful day. Dangerous.
Wondering about that. Yeah, I didn't even bother.
He'll turn them into basically, bundling all the people
Oh, wow. Okay. Now we're turning around, going back up again. Switch over there.
Stand up for science! 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 Stand up for science!
Forgetting one important thing. People are all getting nice pictures. I might as well too. I got my other camera, so excuse me for a sec. Get back around. Get out my other camera. I'll make it in time to get out my camera. Oh. I will. Yes, I am. Get this picture here. Yeah. This guy here with the Harper mask. Harper's leading the rally? I don't believe it. You lost some weight there, Harper.
Yeah. I still got my Gestapo mentality.
Nice, got some good pictures there. Nice pictures. Every picture tells a story, don't it? Yeah, I'm just clicking away. Pictures are worth everything. Monkey see, monkey do. I got you.
Now! What do we want? Basic science research. When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Basic science research. When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Basic science research. Now! Basic science research.
Too fast. I missed that picture. Oh, I got more than 100 people, so I guess people did get off at lunch and just join in. Nice. Winding down to the end. We'll go back up to the front. One more picture here. Oh yeah. Lots of nice pictures there. It's the end of the rally. I'll get back on the bike and go back up to the front of the rally. Beep beep. Beep beep. Interesting speakers there. Some people, I have to go back and actually watch the videos that I took because there's some very informative information there as the cutbacks that we don't even know about. That affect us all, and that's the main thing a lot of people don't know about these cutbacks. Oh, it's a cold day. Headed back to Queen's Park. You can see Queen's Park up there.
More funding. More freedom.
A lot of money to reface that.
No. More funding. More freedom. We want to know.
Hello, my friend. How are you? Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, we're on the go, huh? We're on the go.
The only person who is on a science-based t-shirt.
Hey, my God, yes, my friend. Oh, wow. You're everywhere. Eh? You're good. You're good, let's say, activist, nah?
Well, I'm trying to get these lazy bums moving as activists.
Canada?
We want to know. More funding, more freedom. We want to know.
More funding, more freedom. We want to know.
More funding, more freedom. We want to know. More funding, more freedom. We want to know.
More funding, more freedom. We want to know. More funding, more freedom. We want to know. More funding, more freedom. We want to know.
Purple sunshine here. Back up at Queen's Park. Yeah, going through the red light. So as soon as we get back up here, my screen help is going back down again. And there goes my reception.
We want to know. More funding, more freedom. We want to know. More funding, more freedom. More freedom. We want to know. More funding, 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 more freedom.
Nice pictures now, but.
More funding, more freedom. We want to know. 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 More funding, more funding, more freedom. We want to know. More funding, more freedom.
Oh, the hell's back up here?
More funding.
I don't know. Is it band user or it could be my phone?
We want to know. More funding, more freedom. We want to know. More funding, more freedom. We want to know. More funding, more freedom. We want to know.
More freedom. We want to know. More funding. 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 More freedom. We want to know.
Definitely more than 100 that we had before. Lie up on the grass. I'll run over that guy there. Get back, get. Low battery. Oh well. We're getting to the end of the event anyway. So when I get home, I gotta watch this and see if they've really fixed this band music stuff. It's a pain.
We want to know.
More freedom. We
Oh,
want to
bumpy
know.
ride. Right in the light. Nobody walks like that. We're back. Park of it. Back at Queen's Park. I don't think there's any more speakers that I know of.
We want to know.
thank you all for coming. It's wonderful that we've been here. I think we've made our point. And there will be more events. There will be one in October, and there will be one in November. We'll do other events in the next year. So if you'd like to find out, just sort of go to the website for Scientists for the Right to Know .ca, and you'll find out what else is happening. Thank you very much for coming, everybody.
Just another group I can attack.
Okay, wow, that's wrapping up. You got your face like this. I think so. Hey, everybody's going home. Oh yeah, you got that movie Tiff look, eh? Tiff. You got that Tiff smirk. Just taking a picture of that. Yeah, playing around. Me and civilian media there, playing around. Cuz the Crow here. Cuz the Crow. Well, it's worth coming out. Oh, shit, sweet. Can I buy you a coffee now? I owe you one. Tim Horton? I got a Timmy's card, yeah. We'll keep it going for a little bit. It was a little interesting coffee. I almost ran the Nobel Peace Prize in my life going. I almost ran over the Nobel Peace Prize winner. Canadian Nobel Peace Prize winner.
That was a free for publicity.
Wow. It's a pretty good turnout, especially with a lot of people working. The people who were supposed to show up didn't. Not here. That Harper guy looked too skinny for me, man.
Looks like he missed a few wheels.
That's all right. That was fun. That guy got some good pictures there. A wonderful day here. Turned out to be nice. They got lots of signs left. Another amazing day at Queen's Park. So I guess we'll wrap it up. I guess. Yeah. Take a few more pictures, and that's it. Cuz the Crow out. Till next time. Oh, we got the big one, the environmental on the 21st. Right. See you on that one for sure, 21st. Crow's out.